Good afternoon, everyone. Today, welcome back to our podcast to discuss many things. And today, we will discuss about the brain rot based on your own knowledge. And I also with my friends here. There are Imam, Isna, Salma, and also Rere to go discuss with me. So actually, let's get into it without any longer. So, what is brain rot? For me, brain rot is actually for Gen Alpha who born in 2010 to mid 2020, brainrot is a slang term they use to describe obsessive or excessive exposure to digital content, especially when it's silly, repetitive, or meme heavy. It's usually not a clinical term or an insult. It's often a self-aware humorous way of saying. So, also based on the journal that I already read yesterday, slang is not just informal language, it reflects the values, emotions, and identity of Gen Alpha. It's also used to express social belonging, creativity, and humor, especially in digital environments. Also, platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and also Instagram heavily influence slang development. And then there are also a lot of types, and I just know about the type of the slang from the journal. Those are narrative-based slang and then affective slang, also absurdism-based slang. And then also in this era, as digital era, we also have the challenge for the adults and educators for facing this kind of era. And then as we know that the slang can feel alienating or confusing for parents, teachers, and older generation. Since the different gap of generation, of course they may make some misunderstanding, and also it's a form of self-expression that align with their own presence and community values. So that's all my opinion and my knowledge from my journal. So I really want to know among my friends about this journal. So maybe I will choose Isna to know about the brain rot and the key points of your journal that you already read some time ago.
Okay, so the journal that I read is titled Brainrot and National Resilience, a review of digital threats to human resource quality and national stability in the global information age by Muhammad Al-Husseini. So Brainrot is, as Muhammad Al-Husseini defined, as excessive digital media use, especially of trivial, viral, and entertainment content that is negatively affecting people's thinking abilities, mental health, and even social cohesion. So the key finding of this journal on individual level, it's too much time on social media that leads to problems such as decreasing attention span, worse decision making, having a bad impulse control, and having bad emotional regulation, especially for young adults like us. It contributes to stress and mental health issue. On a broader sense, on a society level, it also can weaken social connection by fostering apathy, social isolation, and makes us vulnerable to misinformation and propaganda. It makes our nations more vulnerable to cyber threats and disinformation. And yeah, I think that's all for me. Maybe Imam can start his opinion on this.
The journal that I read is Brainrot Overconsumption of Online Content. This journal is discussed about brainrot as a consequence of excessive digital consumption, particularly through social media. It presents the phenomenon as a modern issue with cognitive, social, and physiological implications. And have any other opinion?
Yes, I do. The journal that I read actually it's called if I think it's called Demystifying the Dilemma of Brain Rot in the Digital Era. And the journal actually stated that Brainrot is Oxford's 2024 Word of the Year. So it shows how big of a phenomenon Brainrot is. This journal also touched on not only what Brainrot is and also the negative impact of it. Since most journal I see, they focus on the negative impact. They also state some ways to mitigate or to prevent brain rot from impacting us in the negative way. Some of the steps they said is we got to regulate our screen time, curate media feeds, incorporating non-digital materials, and fostering social support and community engagement. This journal state that Brainrot is actually Oxford's Word of the Year in 2024, which shows how big of a phenomenon this is. And this journal touched on a few negative impact that Brainrot has. One of it that really stuck up to me is how Brainrot impacted our decision-making skill because we are so used to with technology, we're so used to asking help or use technology to help us. That way become we prefer quick fixes over actually fixing the problem. Okay?
According to the journal that I choose with the title Youth Language Uncovered, Metasynthetic Insight into Gen Z and Gen Alpha Slang, Brainrot is linked to the constant exposure to fast, repetitive digital content like what we see on platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and this content often shape the slang used by Gen Z and Gen Alpha like skibidi, riz, or slay, which are all based on viral trends and meme. The journal suggests that while slang is a way for this generation to express identity and culture, the fast-paced shallow nature of this content may contribute to brain rot by weakening deeper communication skill and literacy, especially for Gen Alpha.
And I have some questions that we will discuss today. And the first question that I really would like to discuss with you is how do social media and online trends influence the slang used by Gen Z and Gen Alpha? And are there any key platforms that shape this language the most?
How it impacted it, in my opinion, is, for example, I like to use the example of the word skibidi that I actually don't know what it means until I saw the video of like the dancing head inside of the toilet. So that trend actually they sing the word skibidi and now it's being thrown around. And there is a meaning of it, like in real life, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, as I conclude the discussion of our today, the influence of social media and online trends on the slang used by Gen Z and Gen Alpha is massive. And then this generation have grown up in a digital first world where language evolves rapidly through platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and also YouTube. And maybe gaming communities also like Roblox and Discord, you know that it's going viral lately.
I have a question for you all. So, what role does humor plays in the slang used by Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and how does it help them communicate within their peer groups?
What does humor play in Gen Z? Humor is a huge part of how young people use slang. A lot of it is based on jokes and sometimes even nonsense that only makes sense if you are in the know. This kind of humor helps people feels like they belong. It's like an inside joke that only certain groups understand. Using slang is a way to build friendship and connection, and it also makes everyday conversation more fun and creative, in my opinion.
So yeah, I believe that entertainment focused culture in the digital media is promoting the instant gratification, and humorous content. This humor usually becomes crucial for bonding tools in a digital era, especially helping young people to ease their stress and social pressures that build up in real life. So I believe that slang built around humor and memes gives a lot of us a shared code to connect with peers in space where attention spans are short and digital noise is high.
Basically, I agree with you all. For me, humor is a big part of how both generations connect with each other. Their slang is often light, playful, and based on inside jokes. For example, Ken Alpha love using words like yet or oof that come from gaming or memes, and they use them to express emotion in a funny, exaggerated way. Gen Z also use humor, but they sometimes carries a deeper meaning, like using mood or shock to talk about real life experiences with a little sarcasm or irony. This shared humor help create a sense of belonging. If you understand the slang, you're in. It's a way to bond and show you get the vibe of your generation. So, any question again?
I have a question. So, do you all think that generational slang can be a way to establish group identity, or is it more about rebellion against older generation? Isna, what do you think?
So yeah, I believe that digital media is used for the formation of isolated online communities and new norms that detach from traditional social cultures. So this implies that slang is used as a group identity marker within these digital subcultures. So that I believe slang is more about rebellion against older generation, but also sometimes it can establish a group identity within our peers.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions, for your answer. Sorry. Yeah, I really agree with what you guys have said. By establishing one generation's identity, we differentiate from the others. And maybe they don't, maybe the older generation did not agree with it, but it's alright, they just don't get it.
Before we end the podcast, of course, I will make some conclusion and maybe you can add the conclusion that I made. Okay, from the conclusion that I already take from our discussion sometime, this is as we know that the technology has rapidly evolving in every year, so that also the platforms of social media like TikTok, YouTube, and etc. Of course, it may affect how the language is shaped and cultured, such as in this era, Gen Z and Gen Alpha also have their new slang that evolved in their daily. And then we also discussed about what if in the next year are the Gen Z or Gen Alpha will stay use their slang like this, or maybe they will getting mature, or maybe they will some differentiation in the next year. Okay, I think it's enough the conclusion of our podcast today with the title Digital Tongue, with our podcast title Digital Tongues, Brainrot in Modern Communication. I hope what we discussed today is really helpful and being the new knowledge of us. And thank you for coming and give your opinion today, guys. Thank you very much and good afternoon and have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.